Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of 10 for the Chairman. For those that you don't know, 10 for the Chairman is where I take 10 questions from our subscribers and answer them to the best of my ability. Our subscribers are a subset of our community that contribute extra money every month to enable us to do enhanced community content. So this show, Around the Verse, some of the newer stuff that we're doing, like the wonderful wide world of Star Citizen that Disco Lando, as you guys know him, is working on. And so I just got back from South by Southwest, where we were showing the game on the South by Southwest Game Expo floor, and we had a nice event on Sunday night for our community, where we showed some of the upcoming footage or the kind of things that we're doing in the sort of planet side module, which is obviously still a ways off, but it was a sort of preview to show kind of how we want to be fleshing out that area, and by the time everybody gets it on their machines, they'll be able to sort of buy and sell. Characters will be looking a lot better, there'll be a lot more stuff fleshed out in it, but we thought it'd be kind of fun to show sort of the preview of sort of the level of life that we want to get to the environments you land in. It's only going to get better. Previous week I was in Boston at doing PAX East, where we showed the FPS module, which we are busily working on to finish up right now, and that was the arena combat mode, where we showed the sort of zero-G arena that you can fight in, and I think that's going to be kind of fun and promising. Ilphonic and a bunch of other people around the company are working pretty hard right now on sort of the final sort of balancing and polish for the FPS, because we want to make that a fairly good experience when you first go and play it. We had our first company-wide playtest of the FPS there, where we had about 20 people get in from the UK and Austin and Colorado and here in LA, so that was kind of cool. There's still, there's a lot of sort of polish that comes with the animation, the iron sight when you get down the sights of the guns, and just also getting the zero-G stuff. So, and we decided that we were going to take the extra time to make sure that we sort of got that being fairly smooth. So that's something to look forward to next month. We were originally thinking we would have it by the end of this month, but we wanted to take the extra few weeks to polish it. But things are going well. 1.1 will be in everyone's hands by the time you watch this. I'm recording this on the Thursday, we're going to release it on the Friday, and of course this is running on Monday. Hopefully you guys will like 1.1. We've sort of fixed a bunch of the sort of multiplayer free flight mode. Obviously it has the Retaliator in it, so looking forward to seeing your feedback and how much fun you're having with that. So, but anyway, just a couple of things. When I was off in PAX East, for instance, we had some cool stuff, like, so this is from Total Immersion Roleplay, which is one of the groups. There's a whole bunch of sort of subgroups here of the various different sort of role-playing areas, which is kind of cool, like people to trade, or people to mine, or people to protect you, or people to explore, and people to salvage. It's pretty damn awesome, huh? And I got a lot of nice challenge coins from the Operation Pitchfork folks, so here we go. Which was kind of also cool. I have the rest of the challenge coins elsewhere, but that was awesome. And then we also got this, which is super cool. This wasn't actually at the event. It sort of came to our offices about a week or so ago. But how about that? That's pretty awesome. UE recruiting poster. So it's pretty good, and that's from Captain Razor. And anyway, it's pretty awesome, huh? So thank you, everybody, for all these cool stuff. Question time now. Okay, so first question comes from Tony Nightcrawler, who asks, Gold Horizon space stations have been presented as old, crumbling derelicts from a bygone age, filled with squatters and ne'er-do-wells. If we take over such a space station, will we be able to repair it, clean it up, upgrade its equipment, and possibly change our room modules? So long term on the space stations, we're going to have obviously more than one type of space station. It won't all be exactly the same kind of space station. Some will be in better shape than other ones, and will definitely allow the ability to sort of repair or fix up stuff that you could potentially own, and then at a further point down the road will also allow you to sort of add room modules and stuff. I mean, that's one of the things that we have on the roadmap for hangars, for instance, where you can have a basic hangar and then you can add extra modules, and space stations would be kind of along those lines. So maybe not like out of the box first iteration, but that's definitely part of the roadmap on a longer term basis. Okay, next question comes from Don Ron, who asks, can you provide us any additional information on how taxes in-game will work? Will we have a simple sales tax or a more complex corporate income tax? Will there be a possibility to raise different taxes in organizations regarding trades, missions, and bounty hunting? Okay, so as far as the game goes, the taxes will be fairly simple. The idea would be that they're sort of on trade or consumption. So if you land down on a planet, you have to pay a landing fee, and then if you buy or you sell stuff, you basically will have to pay a sales tax, or buy stuff you have to buy. There's a value-added tax. So basically, there'll be things taxed on buying and selling, and essentially landing is a kind of a tax, that's sort of a fee. And then organizations themselves will be able to have certain, I don't know what you want to call it, taxation or tithing. But you could dictate, say, to be part of this guild, you have to contribute 10% of your income to us, or you have to contribute 1,000 UEC a month. So that will be sort of settable on the organization side. Basically for belonging to the organization or the things the organization provides, you have to pay them, which I guess is kind of the same as if you were part of a country, and that's why you pay your taxes. So you have various things like armed forces and roads and stuff like that. So that's kind of the idea. I mean, there won't be necessarily a tax on individuals like from the UEE. There just will be UEE sort of taxes on transactions, essentially. So hopefully that makes sense. Next question comes from Nostromo 1977, who asks, will CIG be adding natural areas to prominent locations, such as an arboretum, hydroponic garden for space stations, or a central park for Terra Prime? The answer is yes. In fact, Terra Prime has some pretty awesome stuff already, definitely along these lines. But yeah, we'll be building in things like bushes, plants, grassy areas, etc. Not everywhere, but definitely in some places. ArcCorp, which is kind of what we've shown, is sort of meant to be sort of this industrial Blade Runner-y kind of huge, mega sprawl, expansive smokestacks and everything. So it's not really a place that you would expect to see the gardens, but Terra Prime or some other places you would definitely sort of see that kind of thing. Okay, next question comes from Samuel Snow, who asks, will there be game mechanics for other environmental hazards in the FPS, such as hitting canisters of flammable gases and having them explode, etc.? Absolutely. That's already in, actually. I think it may have potentially been shown at the PAX/Social, but we definitely have things of canisters that you could blow up. There's all sorts of sort of environmental destruction and effects that can happen in the first-person levels, and we'll use a lot of that. Taking advantage of the physics in CryEngine and some of the other things like you can potentially like hit a pipe and then steam can come out, and that steam could sort of have a wind effect on things around it, blowing it around, and potentially could also hurt you if you got in the way, if it was like hot steam or something like that. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that's in there, and we'll sort of aim to do more and more of that because it's kind of a cool thing to make the environment immersive. Okay, next question comes from Nightwolf, who asks, will we be able to store ore mined from the Orion in our hangar, or will we have to purchase a storage area? Well, I think everyone's hangars will be able to store whatever goods you have, as long as you got the room. I mean, there's a certain amount. Like now, the Orion itself mines a vast amount of bulk ore, so there's probably more ore that you would have on your Orion than you could actually store in most of your hangars. And generally, on the sense of ore, you traditionally would be sort of mining it and then selling it to someone. But you could store it in your hangar, or you could store it elsewhere if you wanted to. I mean, it's just another unit. I mean, we basically physicalize all cargo or items. So whether it's a really big thing like a big huge container of ore, or a really small thing like a small gun, they're all sort of treated the same in the system. So, and you can put them in your hangar, or if you can fit them in your hold, you can fit them in your hold, and so on. Okay, next question comes from Soban. Will there be any sort of organic genetically grown ships like Moya from Farscape or the Lex? Right now, no, but longer term, we have been talking about having some more interesting alien species or races, so I wouldn't necessarily rule it out long term, but short term, we don't have any plans for that, sort of kind of in the initial pipeline of the initial sort of 1.0 release. I guess I shouldn't really say 1.0 since we're sort of renaming Arena Commander Star Citizen because it also includes the FPS and all the rest stuff, but whatever we call our commercial release. So next question comes from Jagger, who asks, with different electronic systems that are throughout the universe, will there be the possibility for ship spoofing? For example, masking your own signal to represent a different ship. So yeah, there's definitely, we've already talked about the fact that ships broadcast an ID, and we know that ships broadcast sort of signatures, which can be electromagnetic or heat or cross-section. So We've also talked about the ability to sort of hide your ID. So if you've like stolen a ship, you can maybe get your ID changed or spoofed. So I definitely think there will be systems out there that will allow you to potentially have a signature that would look like a different kind of ship, and that could be pretty useful. You know, for instance, you could have a signature that could maybe make you look like a freighter, but you're not, as a trap or something like that. So that's the sort of stuff longer term as we sort of flesh out the signature and the scanning system that we will definitely have in the game. Next question comes from the White Knight, who asks, since combat ships have more hard points compared to specialized ships, how will non-combat ships stay relevant in relation to the modularity stretch goal? Well, mainly because the hard points aren't necessarily related to modules that you can switch in and out. So, you know, the hard points in general that we've been talking about, we don't, like, actually, you know, I just did, there was a design post that talked about item ports, right? So, like, everything in a ship is actually attached to an item port. So the thrusters, you know, the radar, the ship's computer, the fuel tank, the power plant, you know, obviously the turrets, the weapons, the missiles, but armor. So all of those are actually items that plug into the ship, and they require their own level of power. They emit heat. They may require data. They, you know, all these different pipes that hook into each other, and the functionality of that, you know, comes with the item, so to speak. So the hull itself, if you took the thruster, the power plant, all these things out, it would just be a floating hull. It wouldn't be able to do anything. And that's kind of sort of the modular system that we have for the ship, but we are only really publicizing the hard points that are related to weapons because that's what people care about. So, but in reality, we have a lot more hard points, and other hard points would entail like, oh, the hard point where you can switch the crew module out for a science module or something like that. So to think that you know, a more specialized ship has less hard points is actually incorrect. It probably has at least as many, they just happen to be attaching extra things. So like, for instance, a good example would be the Orion, which we just had and was in a previous question, but you know, you could see on the outside of it, there's all these containers, right? Well, each container, you know, which is a fairly big container, you know, I think I can't remember what our size was, like 6 meters by 4 meters by 2 meters, attaches to an item port. That's more item ports than any one of our combat ships have had. So there's plenty of option to expand and do. It's just, you may not realize it from the website because that's using sort of outdated data that over time that we will change, but also it's kind of hard because it's not standardized, right? So one ship could have 100 different item ports and another ship could have 30 item ports. And it sort of all depends, and the item ports are specific to their particular uses, which could be anything like mounting a cargo module or mounting a gun. I would say that non-combat ships will definitely stay relevant and will be able to change out and do things functionality-wise at least as much as a combat ship, maybe even more so. Okay, next question comes from Notable Joe, who asks, will I be able to search other players for weapons before they board my ship? This way I can prevent a mutiny or a pirate catching me off guard. That's you know, a pretty good idea and suggestion. I don't think it would be that particularly hard to do it. I think we would want that as a mechanic, that someone could sort of scan someone and see if they have a weapon or not and say you're only allowed on if you don't have a weapon. So that would probably be functionality that we would want to put in sort of the FPS module. We already have some other kind of functionality which includes scanning and looting off people and stuff like that. So that would be something that I think we would add to that, because yeah, you want to make sure that people aren't packing, and you know, sometimes they say I'm not packing, but what if they are? All right. Last question comes from Commissar, who asks, regardless of it being a bad idea, will it be possible to fly a ship without a helmet, goggles, contact lenses, eye implants, or direct neural interface? In other words, will it be possible to fly a ship without the HUD and instead being forced to rely solely on the displays in the cockpit? Well, it will definitely be possible to fly without helmet and goggles, etc., etc. And if the ship's set up the correct way, then you probably would only maybe see the display. I mean, a lot of the head-up displays also like are actually in the cockpit space, and so those probably would pop up. But the way the ship system works is, again, I was just talking about items and plugging in. Well, you as a player, the clothes, each one of your shirt's an item, your spacesuit's an item, your helmet's an item. And all those also plug in and have pipes. So you as a player can plug into the ship. So when you sit in a seat, you actually plug into the data port and the power port and the item port, the heat port and all the rest of things. And then through you, all the ports that are in all the items that you're wearing plug into the ship. So what happens when you sit in a seat is it sort of plugs in and boots up, basically. So if you've actually got the helmet, you'll get the display on your helmet. If you don't have the helmet, you will usually by default see it on the screens in the cockpit, or say the little head-up display that's projected inside the cockpit. So it sort of works based on what sort of items you have, what display items you have. So there definitely will be a case where you can get into a ship and not necessarily have all the items. Now, there will be some ships probably that rely you to have like a full fighter pilot setup, like a helmet. I definitely think something like a Hornet or a Gladius may be like that, where it may not let you fly unless you've got the full sort of pilot setup on. But sort of civilian ships aren't like that. Constellation or even Aurora are much more just what do you have, and you're using the sort of in-cockpit diegetic stuff instead of, say, something on a visor. All right, that's it. So there's 10 questions, 10 for the chairman. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting. Thanks to all the subscribers, obviously, who make this possible. Thanks to all the really cool folks that came out to PAX East in Boston, said hi. Everyone that came out to South by Southwest that said hi. We couldn't be making the game without you. We're having a massive amount of fun making it. We're building something really special. We've been doing some pretty cool stuff. I mean, the other thing I didn't mention when I was in Austin was that we also had sort of this back-end summit that went on for a few days after the event on Sunday. And so I'm kind of wearing this, and we're going to be doing some really, this is Google Cloud Platform. But we're actually doing some very, very cool stuff in the cloud that I think long-term, if we can pull off some of it, could make the ability for the world to be as big and bigger and richer than I was initially assuming. Too early to talk about it, but we have some pretty cool ideas of how to sort of utilize the specifics that you can inside a cloud platform to sort of create a richer experience with more things going on. So we'll see, but the Google guys are out. They basically brought some of their top folks out, which was kind of cool because a lot of them are actually backers and are into the game as well, which is kind of a nice advantage. And we sort of brainstormed on how to really sort of push the experience long term in the game. So nothing that's going to show up in the next 6 months or anything, but I think long term it's potentially could do some stuff that people haven't seen before in an MMO, which will be very, very cool. But anyway, we had fun. So having fun building this amazing world. Stuff that's in the pipeline. I'm super excited, so I think this year is going to be a really great year. Maybe not everything comes out exactly as quickly as we wanted it to, as we could just see with 1.1, where it just took a little longer to get a few of the bugs out, or the FPS, where we wanted to take a few extra weeks to do some polish. But I promise you, when you get it, you guys are going to be happy. Everybody's 100% focused on making the best possible game. And we're all having a great time, and it's thanks to you guys. So I'll see you next week. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching 10 for the Chairman. If you guys would like to see more episodes, go here. If you guys would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel and always keep up to date with all our video content, go here. And if you guys would like to watch episodes of Around the Verse, go here please. And I will see you in the verse.